Test, 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 test. Alrighty, good evening, Duarte community. Thank you very much for being here, both in person and online. We're going to go ahead and get this, well, I guess we'll first report back on our closed session. So the board has just returned from closed session, and in closed session by a vote of 5-0, the board took action to appoint Ms. Julia Castillo-Watkins to the position of Royal Oaks STEAM Academy Principal. Congratulations. We look forward to working together with you. Alrighty, so I will now go ahead and call this meeting to order at 7:28 p.m. We're going to go ahead and start off with the flag salute, and I've asked Mr. Bell to go ahead and do that.
Be an honor. Ready, begin. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you very much.
All righty, thank you very much, Mr. Bell. Now we're going to go ahead and have our beliefs, our vision, and our mission read by our Vice President, Ms. Cece Carroll.
Okay. Let's see here. Do I have all of it now? Okay, yeah. Our beliefs. We believe we are a community of learners. We believe learning occurs in a culture of caring and respect. We believe all students are motivated to learn when they are engaged in meaningful work that connects their lives. We believe expectations do influence performances and outcomes. We believe learning increases when there are high expectations for performance and conduct. We believe we have the responsibility to find solutions that enable all students to learn. Our vision, 21st century school producing 21st century students. Our mission, provide the knowledge, skills, and inspiration for each student for success in college, career, and life.
Thank you very much, Ms. Carroll. All right, thank you. We'll go ahead and move on to the adoption of the agenda. So we're going to adopt this agenda with an amendment to include item 10.2, which is the construction and modernization project update for 2024. Is there a motion to approve this amended agenda?
So move.
Second.
Motion by Mr. Bell, second by Ms. Carroll. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Alrighty, so now we'll go ahead and move on to the superintendent's report. Dr. Amerson.
I'm not used to going this fast. All right. Good evening to Duarte community. And I will just, I'll be brief, but I just wanted to take a moment to, again, thank the Board of Education and this 5-member board and this community for helping me as I've been the superintendent of the school district to try to keep always the main thing, which is our kids, our schools, and our community, and trying to always put us in the most positive light and put us on the most positive trajectory. Leading schools, leading organizations like this is never an easy task. There are difficult decisions, there are difficult things that happen, but what I can tell you is that because of the leadership of this school board and the leadership of the amazing leaders from across this district, Duarte Unified is going to continue to do stellar things on behalf of our students and on behalf of this community. I'm really pleased to have the opportunity to be somebody who is associated with this community and all the partnerships and all the wonderful work that is happening. And I will say that I have one more thing I'll say at the end of this board meeting, but one of the commitments that this board made before I got here, but then allowed me to make a recommendation to expand on it, and that was the inclusion of student voice and the inclusion of student board representatives.
Yes.
And when I arrived here, we did have a student board rep, and it was just a student board rep from Duarte High School. And then this board took the recommendation that our team provided to add a board rep at MIT as well. And I think that that has been a transformational opportunity to make sure that our students' voices are front and center in all of the work that we do and all of the decisions that we make. And I want to carry that tradition with me in the new role that I'll take on in my next district, because they don't have student board reps. And I think it's going to be an interesting opportunity to make that suggestion and to make that recommendation. So I want to thank this board for the vision to do that. And I do want to take a special moment, yes, to recognize our former student board rep, Priscilla Navarrete, who is here, to be continued, posible? Yeah, maybe, okay. Because Priscilla was the epitome of what I think every board needs to keep front and center what is their core responsibility.
Indeed, indeed.
It's to hear students, to listen to students, and to feed off of the energy that our students give us. And so I will say it once again, and I know the members of the board will echo this: the most comprehensive, the most clear, the most engaged student board reports were given by Priscilla over the course of this year. She just exuded everything that we wanted to hear about the good things that were happening at Duarte High School and across the district. And so I'm extremely thankful for your wisdom and for your guidance. And I'm extremely proud of you for how you represented yourself, your family, and your community. You are the epitome of what we all need to keep as the main thing. So thank you for that. Thank you. I want to welcome Julia to the Duarte Unified School District family as our newest leader. And you happen to be seated next to a fantastic leader in our district. And you are going to do great things. Royal Oaks is getting the right leader at the right time. And we are very, very excited. And I hope to cheer for you from afar. But to know that I had a hand in your appointment and your joining this school district, I'm honored, and I'm really happy to be here tonight to celebrate this with you. And I wish you the best. Finally, just overall to the school community writ large, Duarte is poised to continue to do great things for your kids, continue to be poised to do great things for this school community. And again, I'm privileged and honored to have served here for the last 6 years. I will miss this district. I will miss the working relationship that I have with this team, and I'll miss the working relationship that I have with each of the individual board members and the collective board as a whole. And thank you, and that's the conclusion of my report.
Thank you very much, Dr. Amerson. I guess one procedural question here. I did notice that we did not do roll call. Do we need to do that? Is that more of a formality, or do we need to? Okay, so we will take that for the record. So I'll go ahead and start out. So Mr. Bell,
Present.
Ms. Diaz,
Present.
Ms. Holguin,
Here.
Ms. Cece Carroll,
Here.
and James Finley here. I forgot my name for a second there. I'm so used to referring to myself as dad to my kids. So anyway, so great. Thank you very much, board. I appreciate that. All right, so next item to go ahead and address is the approval of the minutes from the regular meeting on June 13th.
Mr. President?
Yes.
With permission, I want to back you up to item number 9.
Let's back that up.
Request to address the board.
Oh, yes. I think that's a great idea. Do we have anyone to address the board?
No,
Okay. Well, then.
but we
will-
needed to read it into the record.
We do need to read that on the record. All right. Thank you very much, Dr. Amerson. Okay. So returning back to the approval of the minutes for the regular meeting of June 13th, do I have a motion to approve?
So move.
Second.
All right. We have a motion by Mr. Bell, a second by Ms. Diaz. Is there any discussion, board? Seeing none, all those in favor say aye.
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 All righty. So next item we have is the construction and modernization report for June of 2024. Dr. Amerson, are you on the docket for that?
Yes. Sorry. Yes. So thank you, Mr. President. So again, one of the main objectives that we have as we move forward with major projects from across our district and major work that is happening. I'm going to continue to bring the community along with us and to continue to share updates of what is the latest and the greatest on all things construction and modernization. And so received for information this evening will be updates on our Crestfield project, which is formerly our Andres Duarte school project, as well as updates on the high school gymnasium, as well as updates also on our transition of our MIT and preschool programs. And so that is received for information that is on the agenda for the community to review. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Dr. Emerson. Oh, and actually on that item, do we have an update on, I think we were planning on having like a FAQ or a part of our website that is going to have updates on construction and modernization?
It is in draft form. It is still work in progress. I do look forward to that being completed very soon. It will be one of the pieces that I will ask Dr. Hillman to bring forth at the next board meeting. But we do have a working draft, yes.
All right, awesome. Thank you very much, Dr. Emerson. All right, board, next we have the approval of the consent calendar. So the next item up for adoption is the consent calendar. Does anyone have anything that they would like to remove for separate discussion or action? All right, since there is none, no objection, may I have a motion to approve the consent calendar?
So move.
Second.
All right, a motion by Board Member Diaz, a second by Board Member Bell. All those in favor?
Aye.
All right, moving along. Okay, so I believe we are on to the second reading and approval of board policies. So do I have a motion?
I have a motion.
Second.
All right, go ahead, Ms. Carroll.
Okay, I have a motion to approve 6153, BP 6153, BP 6170.1, and BP 5148.3. But I would like to table BP 6142.8 for further transparency and just to kind of follow through with that for the next, maybe pull it at this point.
All right, thank you very much, Ms. Carroll. So just to make sure the whole board is in line with this, so there was a motion to go ahead and approve Board Policy 6153, Board Policy 6170.1, and Board Policy 5148.3, but to go ahead and table Board Policy 6142.8. Is there a second?
I'll second it.
All right, a second by Mr. Bell. So is there any discussion about this motion, board?
I would like to have more clarification and why are we tabling that?
I noticed that in the CSBA policies under what we're reading here is just what is a policy, but I found a regulation, and it added a different descriptive to parental notification to parents, like permission to opt out of, the HIV, sex ed, and all that. But there's another provision there that says you cannot opt out when it comes to like a gender study, this and that. So I want to make sure that we understand what that means before we approve it.
Dr. Emerson, do we have anything else to add to that?
Okay, excuse me, pardon me. So the policy, there's some inconsistency that I think Board Member Carroll has discovered, that there's inconsistency in between what the board policy says and what the administrative regulation underlying the policy says. And so I do think it would be prudent to go ahead and table this particular item, give us an opportunity to go back, make sure the language is consistent and aligned, and then bring this back for board consideration at a future meeting.
Okay, thank you.
All right, thank you very much. Any other questions or comments from the board? All right, seeing none, we'll go ahead and then take a vote on this motion. I won't read the whole thing all over again, but it's already been in the record. So all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All right, and aye. Sorry, thought I'd throw my 2 cents in there. All right, thank you very much, board. All right, so moving on to the next item on the agenda. So we have before us now consideration of different options to fill the vacancy for Mr. Ken Bell. I think, as most people know, Mr. Bell has served this board and this community for decades, 35 years, I believe is what it is. And he has elected to go ahead and at this point resign. And while we will certainly miss him, we do want to go ahead and explore the different options that we have for filling that vacancy. So we have with us this evening Mr. David Saldani, and for us to go ahead and discuss the different options that are available to us. So, Mr. Saldani, if you wouldn't mind, I guess approaching. Oh, I guess there's our
Yeah,
podium
and then,
there.
Mr. President, with permission, I would ask at this time, given the circumstance, I would ask Mr. Bell to recuse himself
Okay.
For the discussion and consideration of this particular item as Mr. Saldani comes to the podium.
Very well. Awesome. Okay. Thank you very much, Dr. Amerson. All right, so we'll wait for Board Member Diaz to return here, and then Mr. Saldani, if you wouldn't mind sort of running us through what our possible options are, and then I guess allow us to kind of pepper you with some questions, that would be much appreciated.
It would be my pleasure.
Oh,
Should be that.
yeah.
Yeah, that's the one.
Okay.
Yeah.
How's this? Can you guys hear me?
Yes.
Okay. So it would be my pleasure. Thanks for having me tonight. Your options are fairly simple and fairly limited because of where we are in the calendar with the general election looming. Your option is to fill that seat through an appointment process or leave it empty until the November election. Now, I don't recommend that you leave it empty. Having an even number on a board can be a challenge sometimes. Another important thing to remember is I understand we're still kind of transitioning into the trustee area election process. However, Mr. Bell was elected at large. And so if you decide to make an appointment, that appointment is made at large in the same way in which the original seat was elected. And all that means is that anybody that lives anywhere in the community could apply for that appointment. And that appointment only lasts until the coming election here, just a few months away now in November. So you can leave the seat empty or you can appoint. That's what your options are at this point in the calendar, combined with the fact that Mr. Bell's term would have naturally ended during this election cycle. So just fill it, don't fill it.
So thank you very much, Mr. Saldani. So based on what you're saying, there's not even an option for a special election, even if we wanted to explore that?
It's too close to the November election. The timeline doesn't work.
Okay. All right, very good. All right, so board, any questions up here about these options that we have?
I think that is very clear what Mr. Saldani has explained to us. So we need to, that's going to be to open to the public through the superintendent office or to the district. And okay.
That is correct. If I can, Mr. President, just give some additional context.
Please do.
So we've done provisional appointments in the past, and we have a very, very rigorous and a very, very specific process and timeline. Our office is prepared to support the board through a process that would be open to the public, open to the community, obviously done in a very open and transparent way. There are opportunities when people express their interest in being considered for the board appointment that there's a superintendent orientation, kind of, introducing those candidates to being a board member, Brown Act, compliance, et cetera, et cetera. The board would then entertain those candidates who want to come forward and be interviewed in an open setting and during a public meeting. And so there is a very open and transparent process, but I would remind the board, you've done this process before and you're astute at being able to do it. And given the circumstances that Mr. Saldani already laid out, because of the timing in the calendar, we need to be efficient and needs to be streamlined and needs to be effectively done. And again, because of your experience and Mercedes' experience, I feel very confident that you could do that process that way.
And since we have so short notice of knowing that Mr. Bell was going to resign, are we in time to go to every step to fulfill everything until, I mean, at the right time?
Yes. The answer to
Okay.
that question is yes.
Okay. Okay. Thank you.
Any other questions or comments, board?
I think it's very clear and concise what you said about it. It's just basically anyone in Duarte who lives in this district, doesn't matter where it is, they can come and actually, and see if they want to fill the seat for a very short time, like I said. And then if they want to run, well, it depends. We have a couple seats that are going to be open, though. What are the seats again, the areas,
I
Andrew?
think it's
Yeah.
1, 2, and 3.
What?
Yeah, in the November election, as Mr. President just said, trustee areas 1, 2, and 3 will be up for election. And if I could just take one more moment to say, I would concur with Mr. Saldani's point around having an even number of board members. Just given the circumstances, sometimes a board member may need to miss a meeting, there's any number of different things, and you will make a number of critically important decisions, most namely opening school, getting the school year off and started. There are going to be hundreds of decisions to be made between now and the next election, and I think it would be absolutely important, and would be my strong recommendation that the board fill the seat, because you have have the knowledge and experience to be able to do it. And I think it would be in the district's and the community's best interest to have a five-member board.
Yeah, that's a good point you made about that. Thank you.
I would like to add one more point, and that is, because where we find ourselves on the calendar, this will likely, and I think you know this, but this will likely require a few special meetings. I know some districts don't even meet in July, but given the timeline that we have, it'll require a few special meetings that you wouldn't normally have. So just wanted to put that out there.
All right, thank you. Yeah, I think we have done this a couple times when Board Member Jackie Koo needed to resign. So I think that's a little bit fresh in some of our memories, and I will just myself echo what has been said about the important work that we have to do between now and the end of what would be Mr. Bell's term, and having missing 20% of your board all the time for these critical months that we have ahead of us. I think it would do a disservice not only to our board, but also to the community at large. And so I think having an additional voice on the board to represent a community that may not be represented right now, I think would be something that would be really beneficial to us. And so I think to the extent possible that we can meet those deadlines, I think we should definitely move forward with that appointment process during the month of July. So board, any other questions or comments? All right, so with that being said, thank you very much, Mr. Saldani. We appreciate your expertise and your knowledge very much. Thank you for being here.
Thank you.
So then, do I have a motion to approve the filling of the board vacancy through an appointment process consistent with the timeline proposed by administration?
Move to approve?
Second.
All right, we have a motion by Board Member Diaz and a second by Board Member Olguin. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. All righty. So can we go and
Mr. Bell, yeah.
get Mr. Bell? Speaking of missing 20% of our board.
Oh, okay.
Welcome back, Mr. Bell.
Yes, sir.
Okay, next, under Personnel and Student Services, we next have an item that I will be going ahead and reading. So bear with me, folks. This is a required reading, so I'll take a deep breath and get going with this one. And then we will go ahead and take action after I read this. So here we go. The Brown Act requires that this board make an oral report in open session before taking final action on an employment agreement of a local agency executive summarizing any recommendation regarding compensation, including salary and/or fringe benefits. Consistent with this requirement, the board provides this oral summary of the salary and fringe benefits as set forth in the proposed employment agreement for superintendent between the Duarte Unified School District and Dr. Nadia Hillman. So, contract term is effective July 1, 2024 through June 30th, 2027. Annual salary of $255,000 with eligibility for increases commensurate with a salary schedule made part of the agreement and percentage adjustments comparable to what other management employees have received. Paid vacation at 27 days per year with year-to-year accrual of a maximum of 40 days. Any days accumulated in excess of 40 days shall be paid. Participation in retirement programs, including CalSTRS, in accordance with board policy. Reimbursement for attendance at professional conferences and membership dues in one local community-based organization. Reimbursement for membership in the Association of California School Administrators, ACSA, American Association of School Administrators, AASA, California Association of African American Superintendents and Administrators, CAASA, and California Association of Latino Superintendents and Administrators, CALSA. Paid sick leave up to 22 days per year and paid medical benefit coverage on the same terms as other certificated management employees, and access to professional consultative services up to $12,000. That concludes the board's report pursuant to Government Code Section 54953C3. I will now open this item for discussion and action. That was a lot. So, board, do I have a motion to approve this oral report on Dr. Hillman's contract?
Move to approve.
Second.
All right, motion to approve by Board Member Bell, second by Board Member Olguin. Is there any discussion, board?
This is something that, what we have right now in here, it is something that it goes to most of the superintendents that are higher on any school district. I mean, the salaries, everything, I mean, everything that goes with
So,
Yeah.
yeah, I mean, I can go ahead and just say something. I mean, we've been working with our legal team, Jim Romo specifically, in the contract negotiations. And from all indications that we could see, this is very commensurate with what superintendents in the surrounding area and with schools of our school district of our size, this is commensurate with what those superintendents tend to make. I'll just put in my extra 2 cents here, with the added benefit that Dr. Hillman knows our school district very, very well, and is going to come in not only hitting the ground running. I dare say that she will be sprinting.
I think
So I think that is something to keep in mind with this contract.
Perfect. Thank you.
One additional piece, just to make sure that we have the language correct. The actual item that we're asking you to approve is the actual terms of the employment agreement, not the report that was read.
Thank you.
That would be the motion, is the approval of the terms of the employment agreement between the district and Dr. Nadia Hillman.
Okay, that's what I was.
Shall I take another motion, or is that clarification? Okay, so board, just again, so this is, do I have a motion to approve the contract agreement between Duarte Unified School District and Dr. Nadia Hillman?
So,
Motion to approve.
motion approved,
Or-
yes, sir.
You want to do second?
Okay, so we got a motion by Board Member Bell, and then
I'll do second.
and then a second by Ms. Carroll. All right, so any further discussion, board?
No, more like we're happy to have her. So, I think-
How's she doing?
Yes, so, all right, so I guess we can go ahead and say, all those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. All righty, thank you very much, board. All right, okay, I think we are now able to move on to item 13.1. And this is going to be receiving for information. This is a notice of the rights and responsibilities of parents, guardians, and students for the 24-25 school year. So we're receiving that for information. And then we have next the 2024-2025 consolidated application for funding categorical aid programs. So do I have a motion to approve this?
So move.
Second?
Motion by Board Member Diaz, second by Board Member Bell. Any discussion, board? All right, seeing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Thank you. Next item, 2024-2025 California School Dashboard Local Education Agency Local Indicators. Dr. Amerson is sliding over here.
Oh, no.
Okay. Oh, okay, okay. Do I have a motion?
So move.
Second.
All right, motion by Board Member Diaz, second by Board Member Bell. Any discussion, board?
This is something that we go through every year, right?
Yes, that is correct, Board
And
Member
and it's
Diaz.
basically teachers' qualifications, safe and clean buildings, and all that. There is regular textbooks for all the students. So that means that we meet all the requirements on this California dashboard, right?
That's correct. So the board will recall that the California dashboard includes student achievement metrics and then also locally adopted indicators that can vary from district to district. So these are our local indicators that go above and beyond the normal metrics that get measured by every district. Then we have some local indicators as well. But this is regular routine every year.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. All right, any other questions or comments, board? All right, seeing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. All righty, moving on to item 14.1. So this is, okay, so do I have a, well, I'll say, this is a public hearing regarding the conveyance of a utility easement to the Southern California Edison Incorporated. So do I have a motion to open this public hearing for item 14.1?
Motion open?
Second?
A motion to open by Board Member Bell and a second by Board Member Carroll. Any discussion, board? Sorry, I guess I should say the public hearing is now open.
Take your vote.
Oh, so yes, I'll take a vote. All those in favor of opening the public hearing, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. All righty, so the public hearing is now open. And do we have anyone from the community that would like to speak about this topic?
Seems no one approaching to the podium, Mr. President. I move to close the public.
We'll do it on the next one.
And just, yeah, I had.
Just to clarify, this is your public hearing where you allow any member of the community to come. The next item, the board will have a chance to discuss the item.
Gotcha.
All right, so we have a motion by Board Member Diaz to close the public hearing. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Mr. Bell. All those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. All righty, now we're getting on to the resolution number 22-23-24, authorizing the conveyance of a utility easement to the Southern California Edison Company. Do I have a motion to approve this resolution?
Motion to approve?
Second.
Motion by Board Member Carroll, second by Board Member Olguin. Any discussion, Board?
A little bit. If, Ms. Bell, and I'm trying to drag you, into this, but if there's anything that would be interesting for us to know more about these easements, or is that something we can talk about at another time as far as?
Oh, you're not hearing him? Oh, your mic. Oh, I'll repeat. So it's just the question about, because you and I have been talking about this granting of this easement and working with the county and with SoCal Edison. So just any insights around what it is and what they're trying to do, what they're trying to get done. Is your mic on?
Microphone.
I don't know if your mic
Push the
is on.
button.
It's not lit up. Mr. Bell, we were supposed to get new mics before you left. There's a little strip of land between the library and
Old Spaghetti Factory.
the old spaghetti factory.
Whoa.
And the county would like to buy that, would like to use
They
that.
want to use it, yes.
I don't want to say buy that. And so this is the public hearing for that. We didn't even know it was part of our property until they start investigating it, and it was our part of the land.
Is there any benefit at all for us to be involved with it? Or
None.
Yeah, Ms. Bell just said, yeah, not really. We're actually, so two things. First thing is, to reiterate Ms. Bell's point, we didn't even know we owned this. It's literally a strip of land through an alley. And my best guess, and we haven't done a land or title study yet, but that likely it's residual left over from the old spaghetti factory when when that Duarte school building was there. But we still own the driveway, or at least half of it.
It's like the little piece of driveway between that and the convalescent home.
Yeah.
Just like a little
Yeah.
strip.
And the county is interested in adding charging stations there for electric vehicles. And so in order for them to do that, they need us as the owners of that property to grant the easement, so the county can then work with the California Edison to install those charging stations. So that's why we're bringing this to the board.
And I appreciate that. It's good to know. Thank you.
And saying county, we're letting the county use it. We're hoping the county will, if we need them down the future, that would probably be our benefit.
Yes.
Okay.
So, and then this, so I presume they will dig up this small strip of land, which will allow them to pass cabling and whatnot over, and then they will then resurface it so that it becomes usable again in the future?
That is correct.
Okay, great. Any other questions or comments, Board? All right, seeing none, all those in favor of passing this resolution, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Excellent, thank you very much. Next item we have is the approval of the Duarte Unified School District 2024-2025 Local Control and Accountability Plan, the LCAP plan. Do I have a motion to approve this?
So move.
Motion by Mr. Bell, a second by Ms. Holguin. Any discussion, Board?
Nadia's not here today. I think this is her, I wouldn't say her baby, kind of, she does. And this is something that's done again every year. It's something we do, it's just something that's put in, and it's per what? It's usually, what am I trying to think of? It has to do with, can you explain that to me, Dr.
Yeah,
Johnson?
absolutely. So remember, the LCAP is a driving force for the district's overall instructional program.
There we go.
And so there's a very rigorous process that Dr. Hillman and the district go through that includes annual reporting, annual data analysis, annual engagement with our parents, with our stakeholders, with our outside community groups like the Community Education Council, CEC, plays a role in this. And these essentially four main goals of our LCAP drive everything we do kind of across the district. And so then that LCAP then helps to build onto the overall district budget. So approve the LCAP first, and then the next thing that comes after that is the district budget, so on and so forth. So it's kind of like a process and a flow to this. But Dr. Hillman certainly has, remember in our first meeting in June, Dr. Hillman did a presentation at the podium outlining the process for the LCAP goals, et cetera, et cetera. This is now coming back with the very same LCAP plan and asking the board for approval of it for the 24-25 school year.
Thank you very much, Dr. Amerson. Any other comments from the board?
I'm just going to make a very short comment. The LCAP report have 122 pages, and it's something that really takes a lot of time to put it together, and it's in benefit for the entire district, but also for us to know exactly what that means. So, thank you.
Yes, thank you very much, Board Member Diaz. All right, if there's no other points to discuss about this, all those in favor of approving the LCAP, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Thank you very much. All right, moving on now to the approval of the DUSD adopted budget for the 24-25 fiscal year. Do
Move
I
to
have a
approve.
motion?
Move to approve.
Second.
Second.
All right. A motion by Board Member Diaz, a second by Board Member Olguin. Okay. All right, so is there any discussion among the board members about the budget for 24-25? I do have a question, comment, kind of a thing. So I guess this would be for Ms. Bell. So with the adopted budget, one of the things that I think has sort of become evident to us as we've been going through the budget is that there is a difference between the budget that we adopt now and then the budget once we're, say, 3 months into the school year, and that it's kind of a living document that things have to get readjusted from time to time as the school year goes along. So I guess, has that historically been the case that it ends up being drastically different than what we approve now, or is it sort of smaller modifications that happen throughout the school year?
Are you talking about since I've been here? Or
Yes, since you've been here.
historically, I'm
Back
like,
in 1973.
in 1973.
Yeah, since you've been here, Ms. Bell, thank you for clarifying.
No, it's not. It hasn't been something that's been drastic. There's not been a drastic change in the budget. It's usually right on point regarding what we say we're going to spend and what we actually spend. A couple $1 million different, but nothing that would make us say, oh my God, we just happen to come up on millions of dollars. So we look at our unaudited actuals when we're doing the budget preparation for the budget, and then we go from there and say, okay, if we say we spent $10 here, what do we think next year will be? Will it be $10? Will it be $11 or $12? I'm never going to say this, we spent $10 and now we spent $40. It doesn't usually graduate in that fashion. So remember, it's a living document. So if I give you the budget now in June, and when we come around to first interim, when we come to unaudited actuals, then you'll see this is what we actually spent. And then at first interim, we start adjusting what we said we were going to spend. So remember, unaudited actuals is what we actually did that year. And then first interim goes back to look at your adopted budget, and then you start adjusting in a cyclical way from first interim, second interim, hopefully not third interim, and then you're prepared to do the budget again. But we're usually right on point with what we have. I mean, our expenditures don't seem to change much. Our revenues do fluctuate, and that's a report that we've given you where you see that your revenues continue to go down, but our expenditures are pretty much the same because 85% of your expenditures are employees' benefits and salaries. So that really doesn't change.
And with this adopted budget, I know that you and your team have been working pretty tirelessly on this, among
not
other
tired.
things. But I also know that up in Sacramento, they're making last-minute changes to the state's budget, which ultimately affects our budget down here. So how do we roll with these last-minute changes?
Then we make the changes when it's time to, when it's time to update the budget. This budget here will not have the changes in it that's happening in Sacramento now. We can do an adoption again in August, but I don't think the changes are that significant that will affect our budget that I need to go back in and adjust in August. So come December, first interim, then that's when we'll make the adjustments.
Okay, great. Thank you very much.
You're welcome.
Board, any other comments or questions about our 24-25 budget?
I think she's done an excellent job based on some of the figures and things I saw early on. And I just want to say thank you very much for your steadfast ways of how you handle it and even how you even communicated with us. I just thank you for the way you have handled things, because for a while it was looking a little bit on the, not when I say shady side, not you shady, I'm talking about the situation being shady. But I just appreciate who you are and the way you have turned things around for us, and we thank you for that. I thank you for that.
So, Mr. Bell, since you said that, I just want to say thank you for always supporting the vision and always supporting the presentations. If you have questions, that you're not afraid to voice those questions and you wait for the response. So thank you for your support.
You're welcome, and thank you.
I'm just going to add that I hope that the things that we're trying to do to increase our revenue when it comes to the sixth grade, when it comes to the sixth grades now starting for the CSRs, you know, coming in here and doing the conservatory, will help and bring more kids and add to our money. Also, other things that we can do to help and, you know, with our consolidation that's happening with our, you know, when it comes to building, and hopefully that will help us in the future. So hopefully, I always try to see the positive, that we will get more than have less, I guess. I don't know. We will increase it somehow.
Thank you very much. All right, I guess we can go ahead and take action on this now. So board, all those in favor of approving the budget for 24-25 fiscal year, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. All righty, next, moving on to our budget stabilization plan for fiscal years 24-25 and 25-26. Do I have a motion to approve?
So moved.
Second.
All right, we have a motion by Board Member Diaz, a second by Board Member Bell. Any discussion about the budget stabilization plan?
I'd like to make a comment.
Okay.
Please, go ahead, Dr. Emerson.
So the board is familiar with us having to file a budget stabilization plan. We, in my time being here, working with both Ms. Bell and Mr. Bowler previously, the board, we've submitted budget stabilization plans to the board. This is by far the most comprehensive, the most detailed, and the most, I think, accurate portrayal of what we can do when implementing a budget stabilization plan. There's a lot of meat on the bone, like very specific, very detailed numbers that I think we'll be able to rely on. I think that Duarte Unified will be able to rely on moving forward. And so again, I want to take a moment just to say thank you to Ms. Bell, to Mr. Crosby, Dr. Hillman, their teams for the work, the partnership with LACO, and really starting to flesh out in a more specific, detailed, and concrete way how we right-size and right-side the budget. And so there's a lot of work that goes on to get that done, both, you know, in public as we have these discussions and you take these actions, but also our deliberative work that happens in between board meetings. There's a lot, there's hours and hours and hours of work that happen to then be able to put this together. And so again, I think it's really important for us to amplify when we know people are doing really good work behind the scenes. To Board Member Diaz's point about a couple of items ago, yeah, the LCAP's a 122-page document. Yeah, there are people writing that 122-page document. And so there's a lot of work that happens in order for us to bring these items to you all, and that's a testament to the hardworking professionals across this district.
Thank you very much, Dr. Emerson. And I will, I'll say also, I mean, this is called the budget stabilization plan, which would indicate that we have work to do on our budget. And I think that is something that this board and Dr. Amerson and his team have definitely not shied away from. I think that there may sometimes be kind of a feeling of, I don't want to say despair, but almost despair when you kind of look and you say, wow, these numbers are just not adding up. But I think that a lot of people have rolled up their sleeves and said, nope, we are going to make this work. We're going to make hard decisions, and we, as a board, are very, very committed to making sure that we have a budget that is stabilized and is something that we can move forward with and not have to, continually every year be reactive, but in fact we want to be in actually a proactive state. And I feel like Dr. Amerson and his team, and specifically Ms. Bell and her team, have kind of opened up that pathway for the board to go ahead and take those proactive steps. And those are outlined in this stabilization plan. So I appreciate all the work that has gone into that. So thank you very much. Board, any other comments or questions? All right, seeing none, we'll go ahead and take a vote on this. So all those in favor of approving the budget stabilization plan, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Thank you very much. All right, next 3 items, I believe, are audit reports. So we'll go ahead and start out with the annual financial audit report for the fiscal year 22-23. Do I have a motion?
So move.
Second?
Motion by Board Member Bell, second by Board Member Carroll. Any discussion? Yes, Dr. Amerson, I believe there were two things that you wanted to bring up about this.
Yeah, that's correct. Thank you, Dr. Finley. So as a part of the district's annual oversight and making sure that we have an independent third party that comes in and audits and looks at all of the district's expenditures, practices, protocols, et cetera, this audit report is extensive. I think it's in the tune of about 90 plus pages. There were two findings that I'll just point out to the board and give to the board's attention. The first finding was one that we filed the audit late, and we as a staff took a little bit of opposition to that, and so we just had an agree to disagree moment with the auditors there. And so we'll cure and correct moving forward. Nothing tangible, no dollar amounts, no mismanagement, but just a difference of opinion on when information was uploaded and made available. So that was one finding. And then the second finding was there was a questioned cost of about $14,000 on the independent study program, and the actual reason that finding happened was there was a clerical error. And so those were the two findings of all of the different things. And I would be remiss if I didn't mention, and this is going to be me being a bit snarky, so I'm just going to say it in advance. When sometimes I hear out in the community that the district is getting a forensic audit and there's going to be a FICMAT this, or there's going to be a fraud this or fraud that, this is our independent third-party auditor. They're the ones who come in and independently look at everything that we're saying that we do. They have no affiliation with us. They're brought in from the outside. And those were the two findings. And if those are the two findings of our entire fiscal process and program, I think we're in pretty good shape. So I'd ask the board to approve the audit.
Thank you very much, Dr. Amerson. Any questions from the board about the audit or about those two items that Dr. Amerson mentioned? All right. Board, then all those in favor of approving the financial audit report for the year 22-23, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. All right. Next item, this is the annual Measure E General Obligation Bond Program Audit Report for 22-23. Do I have a motion to approve?
So move.
Motion by Mr. Bell, second by Board Member Olguin. And is there any discussion?
Actually, I do have a question. Dr. Amerson, can you explain to our public and our community what a bond is and what Measure E and S are, and I think sometimes we forget, the community, that we voted on these many years ago, and,
Yeah.
you know, sometimes they don't know, they're like, what does this mean, or where is this money coming from? Can you explain it to us?
Board Member Holguin, I'd be happy to. So this particular item is the Measure E General Obligation Bond Program Audit. And Measure E was a bond that was voted for and approved by this community in 2010. And for the last 14 years, Measure E has provided modernization, upgrades, most notably upgrades to the high school football facility, the culinary arts space at Duarte High School, the modernizations of the K-8s at Beardsley, Maxwell, and Royal Oaks, enhancements that happened at Valley View as well. What am I missing? Thank you from the back of the house. Technology, our one-to-one device, program. Very nice, Marcelo. Thank you for that. But all of those things were paid for by the Measure E bond program. A bond is the district's opportunity to go out to the community and explain to the community, we think we can modernize and make our facilities better. We can enhance them for the benefit of students. And in order to do that, we would ask for the community to pay a small amount of tax in order to provide that. Because, as a reminder, in the state of California, there are no funds available to increase or modernize schools until they're at least 25 years old. That is the current law. So, does anybody own a house where you can wait 25 years to modernize it? To modernize your plumbing, your roof, your paint, your asphalt, whatever. You don't wait 25 years, but in the state of California, there are no funds available for modernization if your school is less than 25 years old. And just as a note, every one of our schools is more than 25 years old. And yet and still, there aren't enough dollars even available once you get into that space where you're more than 25 years old to actually, you have to get in line. And there are all these folks who are queued up. And so the way that districts help to support the needs of their district in that moment is to go and ask their community if they would be willing to support that. And we received that support for Measure E in 2010. And I would just say repeat for the next item, because Measure S was approved by the voters in 2020. Same scenario.
Dr. Emerson, so
Yes.
there's not, Measure E, the money's almost gone at that point. How much money do we have left in that?
Yeah, thank you for
approximately?
that, Board Member Carroll. So Measure E was originally authorized for, thank you, Ms. Bell, 62 million, and I think there's roughly 8 million left, but we cannot sell those bonds yet. But there is also, along with that 8 million, there is also some matching dollars that we also have the opportunity to secure. And so I think it's more in the range of like 12 million total with the 8 million plus the matching dollars. But it's just a matter of time of when we'll be able to access those dollars. But yes, that's what's left, roughly estimated.
Thank you. And I do remember, I was at Valley View at the time, and we had, before, as we remember, before, there were chalkboards before. Remember, everybody used the chalk. But I think it's funny, because you would think our neighboring schools might have had the updated technology, but I think Valley View and Duarte essentially really was big on getting the technology in here. And we had the e-boards, now the modern boards that came up. And I know Robin Nelson at the time was the principal there and made sure those were what she really wanted for the teachers there. And not too much other things really went in there. I think the fencing maybe was also done there, but I remember those days. That was important. And some schools still, after that, didn't have the modern technology we even had.
Correct. Absolutely.
Yeah, I think that's a really good thing to bring up. And I think historically, the Duarte community has done a great job in supporting these bonds and really thinking about the future when they vote on these. Because I think I guess I shudder to think a little bit of what, March 2020 would have looked like if we didn't have a one-to-one laptop program already in place. I think, as many of you remember, it was almost impossible to get a laptop once everyone went remote, and that was throughout the world. So the fact that every student had a laptop assigned to them already really allowed us to do as well as we could in a remote learning environment. And so I definitely do applaud the Duarte community for not prognosticating that we were going to have a pandemic, but they just understood that it is important to make sure that our students have the best learning environment possible, and that oftentimes requires extra funding that is not provided by the state. So I'm really proud of our community for doing that, not only back in 2010, but also in 2020 with Measure S. So any other comments, questions from the board? Alrighty. So all those in favor then of approving this audit report for Measure E for the year 22-23, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Alrighty. Next item is very similar. This is the annual Measure S General Obligation Bond Program Audit Report for 22-23. Do I have a motion to approve?
So move.
Second?
Motion by Board Member Bell, second by Board Member Carroll. Any discussion, board?
Mr. President, I did forget to say one thing on the
Please,
last item,
yes.
but it applies to this item as well.
Okay.
Because Board Member Holguin had my head spinning because she asked a question, then I got down the rabbit hole of explaining everything about bonds. The last item, Measure E, bond program, clean audit, no findings. That's what I meant to say. Measure S, bond program audit, clean audit, no findings. So I just wanted to make sure that was on the record as well.
Thank you.
Way to keep us alert there.
Yes, thank you.
Yes, thank you very much, Dr. Amerson. All right, any other questions or comments, board? All right, seeing none, then all those in favor of approving the audit report for Measure S for the year 22-23, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Alrighty, then our final item under this section then is authorization to revise certification of signatures. Do I have a motion to
So moved.
approve?
So
Second?
move.
All right, so we have a motion by Board Member Diaz, a second by Board Member Carroll. Is there any discussion on this matter, board?
A little more highlight on this.
All right.
It's taking my name off and adding Nadia Hillman's name as superintendent. That's what this item is. So, yes, yeah, this is like making it real. There you go. But that's this item is just to revise certification of signatures. Board members will remember at the end of our meetings, there's several signatures, and so it's to make sure that all the appropriate signers are recognized. You taking this and resolving to do this lets LACO know who are the appropriate names to be listed on our documents.
Thank you very much. All right, board, all those in favor then of this revision of certification of signatures, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. All righty. All right, we are now on to the non-agendized items from board members and the superintendent. And spoiler alert, I'm letting Mr. Bell go last. Okay, so just so everybody knows. All right, so why don't we go ahead and start off with Board Member Holguin.
Well, as everybody knows, today is Mr. Bell's last day on the board, or his last board meeting.
Yep.
I mean, we're going to miss him. I'm going to miss him. Thank you for your service.
My honor.
I'm going to miss you. Gosh, I hate saying goodbye. I know it's not goodbye. You'll be around.
I'll be around.
I'm going to remind you of our board meetings, send you the schedule. Please come visit us. And thank you for your service. It's impressive.
pleasure.
35 years. I don't know.
My
I don't want to say too much because I get very emotional, but thank you.
My pleasure, dear.
Thank you. And I'm sorry, Dr. Amerson, I'm going to miss you too. I'm sorry. I know you're a phone call away, and thank you. just met you a year and a half ago. Thank you. This was all very new to me, and for helping me out and explaining the agenda line by line. Thank you.
All right, thank you very much, Board Member Olguin. All right, I will go ahead and go next. So this is it's kind of a momentous meeting, Mr. Bell. You know, I have you know, you were on the board when I was in school, and I will just say that I graduated from Duarte High School 25 years ago. So it doesn't feel like that long, but I definitely do remember, you know, being pretty intimidated by Kim and Krish's dad. You know, they were great students to have with me in so many of my classes, and it has really been a tremendous honor to be able to serve on this board with you, and your perspective on so many things that we have had to do has really been invaluable to me and to all of the board. It never ceases to amaze me, you know, how you can go ahead and recall things that happened that have application today. You know, when we went through the COVID pandemic, you know, obviously you had never been through one of those.
No, I hadn't.
But the lessons that you learned from decades of experience on this board before were really invaluable as we moved through that. So I think I can speak for all the board here and say that experience really helped move us through that difficult situation.
Agree.
And I really, you know, you worked with my grandfather on this board, and he told me, you know, when he got towards the end of his time here on Earth, you know, he said, when it all boils down to it, the thing that you want more than anything else is to know that you've left a legacy.
He did.
And Mr. Bell, I can honestly say you have done that with this board, with this school district, with this entire community. And because Duarte students don't always stay here in Duarte, your influence has spread across this country, across the world even. And I think that is something that, as you close your eyes tonight, I hope that you really think about that. The lives that you've touched here, and I can unequivocally say that your legacy and impact will be felt here for decades and decades to come. And like I said, it is an honor and a privilege to have been able to serve with you on this board because of your focus on students. That is what is the most important. You've kept the main thing all the time. And I thank you for that.
My pleasure, sir. Thank you.
And Dr. Amerson, really, it has been I always joke and say you're my favorite superintendent. And you know, for the sake of Dr. Hillman, I will now refer to you as my favorite first superintendent.
She is watching. Right?
But yeah, I know. She texted me and said I will be watching. So I am treading lightly. No, but it will be fantastic to work with Dr. Hillman. But you have left some very big shoes to fill, and it has been a huge learning and growing experience for me to be able to work with you on this board. And one thing that has really stuck out in our board relationship that I was not really anticipating was how big of an impact you would have, not just on my board member life, but on my personal life. And it's sometimes we think of those as two different things, but I really think that the lessons I've learned from you have definitely crossed over into my personal life, and so I really want to thank you for how you've augmented my life and the life of my family. So thank you very much for your service. All right, why don't we go with Board Member Carroll?
I should have done it first before following Jay. I'm going to make it a little bit more simple. You're definitely going to be missed. It's going to feel weird not having you sitting in one of these seats. I mean, you've been a fixture here. You've been entrenched in our community, involved in our schools, really loving this community, seeing, not just going home and hoping somebody else is going to do something like a lot of people do, but really getting yourself involved and making sure to make a difference in this school, in the community, and that's important. So how Duarte is because of you. I mean, it's because of people like you, Marina, everybody here that puts their time and efforts to putting themselves out there, volunteering, getting involved with the kids, the units you did, when you were here. It makes a big difference. Is why Duarte, I think, has really, I mean, I don't know. I used to get people asking me, like, you live in Duarte? And I look at them going, well, I live in a really nice area. I don't know what you're talking about. I don't see anything what other people were saying here when I moved in 2002, I believe. That was when I moved here the first time. And I was like, what are people seeing? I think it's a great town. And I never saw the negativity of others, what they would say. And this is the problem. You never saw it either. Everyone here has seen the potential and how great this community can be. And it's because of you and everyone who puts their time. And I'm going to now focus on Dr. Amerson. And I just want to thank you because you were so patient. And as a new board member, you never know really how to do things. And you have someone that can kind of help you and guide you. Dr. Amerson spent a lot of time, and he spends a lot of time with all of us. And he's a kind person, a family man. So it was a blessing. I was, Nadia is going to be great too. He was my first superintendent too. I mean, and I happened to it was a great experience having you on board. I mean, you will be missed. You have a great personality. You're a great speaker. And they're really fortunate to have you. So I think the goodbyes are always hard, but they're both great human beings. And I was blessed to have known both of you. And then I'm going to move on. I'm just going to mention a thing that's going to happen in the future. Rosa and I are involved with this one. We're going to do wings with Senator Susan Rubio, yes. And it's actually, I had to write it down because it actually stands for Women Inspiring the Next Generation of Sisterhood. And it's going to be September 28th. And hoping the kids at Duarte High School see its arts. I know a lot of other school districts around are going to be bussed in, but it's going to be a really neat experience. There's going to be session programs that involve healthy relationships, also etiquette. We don't have that in schools anymore. How to eat properly at a table. And they're going to actually have tables where they teach you. And then they're going to do Mad Money, Mad Money City, what is that called? Mad Money City. It's a cool little event, which they teach, Mr. Crosby, you know a little bit more about that.
It's with our partners at Foothill Financial as well.
Yeah. So it's a great little fun event. It's primarily more gauged towards the young ladies from 7th to college, but anyone else can do it too. It doesn't have to just be females. It could be males too. So, and we're trying to promote that now. So it's going to be done here at our high school. That's why. So just to make sure that we are excited that they picked our school. I said, well, the next year we'll have the new gym, not the old gym, but there'll be a beautiful gym. But they liked our campus, and it's really fortunate we're going to have them here, and I think it will be a great experience for our school district to have that exposure too of how great our school is. All right, that's all I have to say. Thank you.
Alrighty. Thank you very much, Board Member Carroll. And Ms. Diaz.
Thank you, Dr. Finley. I will say that being on the board has been one of the greatest blessings in my life, to be able to help to change lives. And being with you, Mr. Bell, has been a wonderful, wonderful journey. You are a real gentleman. You always treat everyone with respect. And even that you and I went through some difficult times, we went through and we came up really good. I know that you and Rosa will be able to enjoy your trips and be around more in the community, go out to dinner.
That's what she said.
And that's the best thing you can do. You have served over 35 years to this community, and I think that you deserve that you have saved the best to the end. So I'm very, very pleased to be able to get to know you and your family, and to share many, many times with you and Rosa. And so I wish you the best, but I will be in touch always with you and Rosa. I will be calling you and calling Rosa. So anytime that we have an opportunity, we will share time again. So it's not to say goodbye, but it's to see you soon. Dr. Emerson, I did tell you a couple of weeks ago that I have gone through 6 different superintendents. And I just hope that we keep in touch. And I told you that I am a person that hardly miss anyone. I really enjoy the people when they are with me. And so they leave me a good flavor that I can keep going. You know, I missed to see my mother. She passed away 27 years ago, right before I was elected to the school district. But she teach me to cook. So when I cook, I can smell my mom's ways to cook. So she's still alive. You kind of show me a lot. I learned a lot through you, your example. And passion is something that I don't really have. And you showed me with passion that I could learn. And I will tell you, your cabinet, your staff is amazing. Because when you were not available and you assigned someone to help us, they did. We were able to reach Mr. Crosby, Dr. Hillman, anyone, Miss Bell. And so you allow them to help us when you were not here. And that shows how responsible you were, that you didn't leave us alone. But I will tell you, like I always mention, I really relied a lot in calling Mercedes and ask her, do you think this is the right thing to do? And she said, you should ask Dr. Emerson. And I make a lot of jokes about Mercedes and you and I, but I can tell you she knows how to direct my questions, and she has been able to help me a lot. So thank you for allowing Mercedes to help us when you were not there, or when we needed to find something right away. And I'm not the kind of person that like to be calling everyone, but I will say I'm not gonna miss you, because you leave us a good legacy. Dr. Hillman is an exceptional professional person, and she's gonna be able to perform her duties as well as you have done. So thank you for your time. I wish you the best, and I hope that we can see you once in a while, like we saw Dr. Beckler today. After 20 years. Yeah, so thank you. God bless you, the two of you.
All right, thank you very much, Board Member Diaz. All right, Dr. Emerson, I want you to go ahead and say a couple things.
Thank you, Dr. Finley. So it's 1989, and this snotty-nosed kid wants to play Little League baseball, but his mom won't buy him a baseball glove because he had always played soccer. And then all of a sudden, he started hanging out with some other kids, and they all played baseball. And so he wanted to play baseball. So his mother said, well, I don't know if you're serious. So she took him to the Little League tryouts, but he had no glove. Oh, wow. And the interesting thing about this little tyke is he's left-handed. So there weren't a whole lot of other left-handed kids out on the tryout field. But he was a fairly big, strapping kid, and at that point in time. So he looked at the next kid in line and said, "Give me your glove."
No, you.
But the kid in front of him was right-handed, so he had to put the baseball glove on his left hand, catch the ball, take the glove off of his left hand, and then throw the ball in. And because of that, not having the glove, he ends up being the second kid chosen out of all the kids. And the very first thing that the coach who selected him said to this young man's mother was, "Will you please buy that boy a glove?" So who knew that that would be my introduction to playing baseball? And 1989 was your first year serving on the school board, 35 years ago. Who knew that 29 years later, that same kid would be asked to be the superintendent of this school district, having gone on and played baseball and traveled and done all this kind of cool stuff and failed at his first career, wanted to be a professional baseball player. But because of the sage wisdom of his mother, who I've said this publicly before, and she knows that I say this publicly, my mother does not have a high school diploma, but she has 8 college degrees, because I have 3, my sister has 3, and my other sister has 2. And she was here that night to see me selected as the superintendent of the school district. And she always knew and said that that school board, that night, not necessarily all of them, but the board, I'm just telling you what my mom said, but the board is going to take good care of you. And that's exactly what happened over the last 6 years, is that the 5 of you and the various iterations of the 5 of you, including Doug Edwards and Jackie Koo and Frank Figueroa, took very good care of me as a superintendent, and I felt a duty and responsibility to, in return, take very good care of you. So the patience was not a problem. It was a privilege. The developing of relationships is at my core of who I am, and I want to always leave things better than I found it. The building and the development of Ms. Holguin as a board member, taking that time, helping you learn through these things, walking through the agenda, explaining what's regular routine versus why we do this versus why we do that. That's the job of the superintendent. The care, the feeding, the support of the board. And I said it earlier at the reception, and I'll say it again. One of the main reasons I wanted to come to this district was because of Ken Bell and Reina Diaz. There was something about your hearts. There was something about the way that you looked at me, you talked to me, you interacted with me. It just told me that this was exactly the right place for me at the exact right time. And I came to Duarte not knowing a soul, not knowing a single person, and having to build those relationships and develop the relationships with this team and with Mercedes. And I told Mercedes actually just this week, I said, I knew we were going to work the very first time we met. Because we met at the Starbucks over here in Irwindale, right by Costco. And I just knew that I was going to have a really good support. And she's been exactly that. Consummate professional, dedicated, and cares deeply about the success of the district, the success of you as the board, and the success of this team. And so, you know, I think about 1989 and that being a jumping off point for me in my career, in 1989 being a jumping off point for your service to this community, and then the ability to have our worlds collide in a really cool way, and to have the relationship that I've developed with you over time, to have the relationship I've developed with you over time, and the growing and nurturing and developing relationships that I have with all 5 of you that absolutely will continue. Education's a big world, but it's a small network in a small place. And if you want to endure and continue to have those relationships, you can and you will. And we can and we will. And so just thank you from the bottom of my heart for allowing me to serve and for being dedicated servants to this community. And I'm honored and privileged to have served alongside of you. And I hope, my only hope and intention ever when I come into an organization is to do everything I can to leave it better than I found it. While some people try to say that, oh, Duarte is this, or Duarte is that, or Duarte is broken. No, it is not. That is rhetoric that somebody might say because they have their own agenda, but those who know, they know. It's a really good place with really good people. And your leadership matters. So thank you for that, and thank you for the honor to serve. And that's the conclusion of my comments, Mr. President.
Thank you very much, Dr. Amerson. All right, Mr. Bell, close us out.
Well, actually having that first meeting is really kind of tough to even kind of think about talking about it again. But I kind of was going over in my mind what a lot of people don't know. I was born in a housing projects area. 8 kids. I lived in leasehold housing projects. Even though it was in a tough area, but that was home, I didn't look at it like I was in a bad place. It was just home, you know what I mean? And I had a great dad and a great mom who raised 8 kids, and 4 boys, 4 girls, and I was the third. My oldest brother, who has he's deceased, and he was a policeman. Matter of fact, I helped him through his whole academy, whole nother story. But I had a chance as a young man. My dad moved us out of the leasehold housing projects when my brother, who's a little bit older than me, he and his friends were going up to Hollenbeck Junior High School, and his friend got stabbed and killed. Dad said, we got to get out of here. We got to get out of here. I mean, at that time, I didn't really know what he was talking about, but we got out of there. And we moved from in East LA, in the leasehold housing projects, to an area would be called South Central Los Angeles now. But us, we thought we moved to heaven, so it was an opportunity for me as a kid to go to school, and I didn't have any problems. With 8 kids, it was kind of tough. I bought a lot of my own clothes, but it wasn't because they wouldn't ever do it, but I had a paper route, so I bought my own stuff, khakis and tennis shoes and all that other stuff. So I never felt like, that I didn't have anything. Like I said, mom and dad, my father worked at Lockheed Aircraft from 6 in the morning to 2, and he had his own barbershop from 3 to 8. He would cut hair until they closed in the evening. And naturally, we had to do a lot of sweeping up and cleaning up and all that kind of stuff. But we had great parents. Mom was the sweetest woman I've ever known in my life. She made me feel like, I remember when I was we had a class in elementary school, and the teacher wanted us to sing. Well, I didn't know about singing. I tried, and she kept coming by, and she would she would kind of do her ear like this when she got by me, like something ain't sounding right. Well, I was the one off beat, no doubt about it, and then she went on, and then I told my mom about it. She said, "Well, Kenny, you can sing. She probably didn't hear the notes you needed to hear." I mean, she always made me feel better. You know what I mean? And then the second thing that she made me feel better, that just one of those things where you show how your parents can have influence. I saw, some kids getting on a yellow bus. And these were kids who had problems, you know, vision problems and all that stuff. And I found out that, you know, if you had some kind of irregularities, you could get on the bus and they'd take you to school. I didn't know. So I lied when it came to a vision test and all that kind of stuff at school, and they sent me to a school for the blind. So and yeah, they did. But it was my little way of saying, well, I want somebody to notice me. Well, they noticed me. And so, but my poor mom, I mean, you know, I know she didn't know exactly what to do because she saw me doing regular things at home, but then I started acting stupid, you know, later on trying to act like, but I just wanted that attention. 8 kids, you know, just wasn't getting a whole lot of attention. And I remember that I decided, I said, you know, I got to maybe get out of this and let mom know. And what really helped was that we had a teacher that, you know, was teaching us how to sing, and it was going to sing for the parents. And I remember that she came by, she kept listening for my voice, you know, and then she told me, she said, you're not going to be able to sing when other kids sing. And so I felt terrible, but I didn't want my mother to know, you know. So I remember acting sick and all that stuff so I wouldn't have to be there because I didn't want mom to feel like that something was wrong with her kid. I mean, that was the way I was thinking, that something was wrong with her kid. But that was my early experience, just trying to find my way as from an 8, you know, kid family, and to try to find who I was and how I was going to find out what I was going to be in life. And I you know, today I was just reflected on it a lot, getting ready to say something to, you know, the people who were here. And even though it was dumb stuff I did, I was just trying to fit in. I was just trying to fit in. I was just trying to find who I was. And the beauty of it all is that as time went on, I ended up not being involved in the gangs because of the work I did, but my dad wouldn't have gone for it anyway. And so I had an opportunity to meet, you know, a lot of different kids in a lot of different ways. And the earlier part of my junior high school, there was some gang violence stuff, and I remember having a fight with a guy, and then they wanted to jump on me. And then some guy said, we're going to back you up, Ken. I'm just telling you how I'm just trying to find my way through all of this web in my life. How did I get here? And I remember they said, after school, man, it's like, we're going to jump on these dudes, we're going to do this. And then I started thinking about my parents, and I said, man, if I get involved, the police are going to get involved. And so I went home. I just left, and I went home, and I didn't want anybody. And they were kind of mad at me, like, 'cause they wanted to fight. And but I ended up, that was kind of like a decision I made. I didn't want to do what these other guys were doing. And I'm just thinking about, matter of fact, when I was here, I was just thinking about, how did I get to be where I was? And I remember where in high school, I played football. I was really pretty good. And I remember when we were playing in the Los Angeles, the Los Angeles kids played against the San Diego kids. And Mike Garrett, who ended up being a football star, USC and the whole thing, he played so well. I was the defensive player of the game, and he was the offensive player of the game. Well, he went straight into USC. Me, I didn't have any other focal points or anybody else to tell me anything. So I just, all I did is just existed and try to survive in the environment. It wasn't bad, but it wasn't me. It wasn't me. But I was really, really fortunate where when it came time for, for me to, get to be recognized, I remember this one coach, he put me into one of the things where you would hit the other guy and then tackle the guy who got ran by. Well, I was determined to do it, and I did it so well. He was all happy and all that kind of stuff, and he kind of propped me up and gave me a different platform of feeling like I was somebody. I'm just talking about a kid that came out of the projects, didn't know who he was, didn't know how I was going to go, where I was going to go, and these steps along the way. And today, it just seemed like it was just amazing that people say, "Oh, Ken, you did a great job." And I mean, I never felt like I did a great job. I didn't. But to see how when I get to high school, somebody said, you ought to run for the class president. I said, class president? I can't be no class president. You know, I didn't have that confidence at that time because I didn't have a platform to do it. I mean, what I did is I threw newspaper routes in the morning, and I would cut grass on the weekends, and I would clean up my father's barbershop with my brother on the weekends. I mean, that was just the routine that we had. And but I was just, it was like I was a nobody kind of a, you know, somebody. And man, and next thing I knew that the military, the Vietnam War came up. Naturally, I got better in football and all that stuff, but I never got to USC. Matter of fact, Mike Garrett and I laugh about it today because I was the defensive player of the game. He was the offensive player. He said, Ken, I don't know how you did that, man. I don't know how you did that. I don't either. But the thing was, is I had the talent. I just didn't have the direction. That's why when people say, Ken, why you deal with kids like you do? I needed that kind of, I needed to do that to kids I saw that was like me. My daddy wasn't a bad father. He just had 8 kids and he had to work 2 jobs. He just didn't have anybody. And so my whole route in my life was trying to find out who I was, how I was going to work. And as time went on, I really, and this is not bragging, I really ended up being one of the top investigators in LA County District Attorney's Office. I was the top guy in the gang unit that I worked in the LA County Sheriff Department. And when I'm saying that, I don't mean top like I'm the greatest, but it was like I achieved something. I achieved something in my life. And I needed that because it was just something I didn't have. 8 kids, I mean, I just didn't have it. And I never got mad at my parents about it because it was that's just the way it was. But when I had an opportunity where I went to the Sheriff Department, and it's so cold-blooded. I went to the Sheriff Department, then the Vietnam War broke out. So they drafted me right away. So here I am going to the military, and I remember I was going to get in the airborne. Yeah, I wanted to jump out them planes. And so, and I remember being in the barracks, everybody in the barracks I was in, I don't know how they didn't take me. Everybody in my barracks died in an airplane crash at that particular time. And I couldn't figure out, I said, how did I not die? Everybody else ended up dying. And again, it was like I was separated, from other people, but yet God was still holding on to me and allowing me to be somebody. And I ended up the Sheriff Department, and I did really, really well. I worked in the gang unit. I was in the first gang unit that ever started in LA County. And I got all of the, the original gang members and all that kind of stuff. I got a chance to know them, and they, even to this day, they've always appreciated me. And I've had a full life of dealing with young people. The church I went to, I took them on retreats. I had an affinity, I guess maybe because I didn't have that kind of care as a kid. I'm not blaming my parents. I just didn't have it. 8 kids, and I understood it. But my point is, I guess I'm saying, when people see me involved here, I love these kids because I know what it's like not to have that. I got an email today that we had a kid shot and was killed today. I got it today. And I'm saying there were people who, and most of the trials, the Tupac, Snoop Dogg, I was involved in every one of those trials, arrested people or doing whatever I needed to do because I have that kind of a touch, and I don't mean great, but I had that kind of a personal touch that people somehow just latched on to me when we met. And so I've just allowed myself to enjoy whatever the situation was and to be whoever God wanted me to be, because, I never got to be this is the biggest ceremony I ever had, by the way, today. This is the biggest ceremony I ever had. People saying, oh, you're a great guy. But I'm just saying, I don't feel bad because God still took care of me in the midst. My wife was one of the most wonderful persons. I don't even know how I got her in my life, but she accepted me and allowed me to, to work and to raise our children, and I have good kids. I have good kids because she was there and I participated with them, and my whole involvement with church is because of her, because she wasn't going to go somewhere with me because she said I don't go to show on Sunday, so that's where I had to go. But I'm just saying, when you hear these kind of things, and when I can see a empty soul, I don't know if you understand what I'm trying to tell you, but I can see a kid that didn't have it, and I try my best to find a way to reach it. I try to find my way because I knew that it was important that they get touched. The wrong person could touch them and take them in the wrong direction. And so God has just seemed like he's given me that kind of mindset and mentality to see the empty soul or see somebody who needed that extra push. And I'm a nobody, but God has allowed me to touch a lot of little bodies. You understand what I'm trying to say? And I've always felt honored that he would take me, a kid from the projects, a nobody, to put me in areas where I could have an effect. And it's something that I will never forget how God did that to me. I have no idea why he did it, how he did it. And I'm not famous, I'm nobody, but I'm somebody. I don't know if you understand what I'm trying to tell you. I'm somebody because I stopped to help other people. And so I feel good about that part. And this working here, being a board member, I taught 2 classes, student in the law, and I taught several classes here. And I taught at Losing High School, I taught at Washington High School as an instructor. I would have my police car, I would get out of my police car, and I would dress down, and I would teach a class, student in the law, and I would teach all the, and you would be surprised how many of those same kids contact me today. They just feel like that I cared about them. And having that feeling of knowing that you can touch a life, to me, has meant more to me than, I'm not saying money or anything like that, but I feel full and I feel resolved because my wife took a chance. I wasn't a gangster, a crook, or nothing like that, and we've had a great life. She is one of the finest women I've ever had involvement with. My kids have had the greatest upbringing, not because of money, not because of all that stuff, but we care about our kids. And our kids have been pretty decent kids all the way through their lives and things that they have done. And this board allowed me an extension of dealing with kids. You understand what I'm saying? It gave me another extension of dealing with kids. I mean, I've had kids who were shot, and I'd get there, and they would just light up because they saw me. You know what I mean? And I said, how could that happen? I cared about the kids, and they knew it. You know what I mean? So I'm just saying to you, this Board of Education involvement allowed me to be able to deal with young people in a way that I think it makes a difference. And for me, it was better than a job. It was a calling. I don't know if you want to call it that, but it was a calling. And I'm just saying to you that this experience of the years I've been here have been some of the most fulfilling years I've had as a human being, as a man, as a person, as a father, as a husband. And I just want to say thank you all for being able to allow me to be with you and to deal with things, because it's made me a better person all the way around. And I'm just so happy that I've had people like you to be around me, because you guys don't judge me. You let me just be me, and I kind of like that part where, you know, you don't, I just want to be me. I just want to touch a simple life, a simple soul. And I mean, if you knew some of the well, I don't want to say, but the gangsters that I've known in my life, gang members who, they think I'm somebody. They really do think I'm somebody. I mean, some of these guys that get out and do, they think, I mean, I could have had, well, I almost said some names, but I could have had some people, some things happen to them a lot of times. The reason I'm saying this, you guys were a part of a plan, looked like that God had in my life, to allow me to be me in this educational environment. And I want to thank you for putting up with whatever things around me, because that's who I am. I don't know if you understand what I'm saying, but that's who I am. And I just say thank you for allowing me to be in your midst. There's nothing special about me. All I know is that I'm here because God wanted me to be here. And I want to say that to each one of you. And his grandfather, he was one of the finest board members I've ever worked around. He didn't play about nothing, but he took care of business, and his heart was so much for the school district. And he was really helpful for me because we came through a period of time, it was a little raggedy around here, but he was straight up and down. And so my message to all of you, thank you for allowing me to be in your midst. Thank you for allowing me to be me in your midst. And it's just something that God has allowed me to have, and I'm just feel better about me being able to say it. I'm glad it's not a full auditorium here because I didn't mean to get all. But it's just me. And the best, you know what the best part about me is? The wife you see me with, that lady right there, that's the best part of me, her. I mean, if you knew how she raised my kids and did what she did for them. I worked a lot of overtime. And that stuff. Rosa took care of my house, my kids, and the whole thing. So I've had a good life from that perspective, and this board allowed me to kind of balance it a little bit. I hope you understand what I'm saying. It allowed me to balance it. And the fact that I didn't have some of the law enforcement stuff to kind of hang on, then, you know, naturally at my church, yes, I'm the youth director and all that stuff. So, but it's just, that's who I am. That's who I am. And I've had an opportunity to deal with a lot of young people over the years. We would take some inner city kids. I'm gonna shut up in a second. Inner city kids, and we would go on retreats, Paris, California, do tents, and I'd say take them on the hike, and I would search their tents because some of them brought guns and knives on the retreat, you know, and so I would get their stuff and get rid of them. But some of those guys, they recognized it later what I was doing, and they said, man, we weren't trying to do that, Bill. I wouldn't do that. But my point is that I just knew where my time in my life was supposed to be, and this is part of it here. So thank you for allowing me to be in your midst. I'm saying that. God has allowed me to meet each and every one of you all, each and one of you all. And I want to say thank you for allowing me to do that. So this is just me. And I'm nobody special. I'm really nobody special. But the things God has done for me has been special. You understand what I'm saying? What he has done for me has been special. So thank you. That's all I have, Mr. President.
All right, thank you very much. Mr. Bell, if you're a nobody, I really wish we had a lot more nobodies in this world. Because, yeah. So board, I guess we will go ahead and close out this meeting. So I would like to motion that we adjourn in memory of Sharon Crosby, who is Mr. Rick Crosby's stepmother, who passed away recently.
Move to adjourn the meeting in memory of Mr. Crosby's stepmother.
Second.
All right, we have a motion and a second by Board Member Diaz, second by Ms. Holguin. Any discussion, board? Seeing none, all those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. All righty, thank you very much, everyone.
That's cute.
Very nice.
Thank you, board.
You got signatures?